Hey guys, this is Lee here. Have you ever thought about racing your sailboat, but you just didn't because you didn't know the rules? And in this video, I'm gonna show you the 4 easy rules so you can get out there racing, you could stay out of trouble, you can get a good foundation so you could have more fun sailing your sailboat. So whether you sail an Opti, a Laser, a Sunfish, a J-boat, or a big huge yacht, I'm gonna teach you enough so you could start racing today. So please don't forget to smash that like button and turn it blue. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. I read all the comments and I'm glad to hear from you. The #1 principle when you're out on the water, whether you're sailing or racing, is to don't hit any boats. If you don't hit any boats, you're gonna be fine. And then if you learn just a little bit more, you're gonna be that much better. So when in doubt of a rule, just remember the first principle and don't hit any boats. Now the racing rules of sailing can be published in a book like this, and there's a lot of pages and numbers and exceptions. So as a beginner racer, you're not gonna need to know 98% of the stuff that's in this book. Later in the video, I'm gonna give you a bonus tip that many racers, even experienced racers, still don't understand. First rule you want to know is the concept of port versus starboard. So when you are sailing upwind, downwind, or on a reach, you're either on a port tack or a starboard tack. It's very important to know whether you're on port tack or starboard tack. When you're on starboard, that means the wind is going over the right side of the boat or the starboard side of the boat. Because it's coming over the right side of the boat, it's pushing your sail to the left side of the boat or the port side of the boat, which means the boom is over your port side. So that means you are on starboard tack. And if you're on port tack, that means the wind is blowing over the port side of the boat. And so it's opposite. So the basic principle is the starboard tack boat usually has rights of way over the port tack boat. So if you're on port tack, stay away from all starboard boats. Do not come close to hitting them, or don't hit a starboard boat at all. Now, if you're coming close and you want to avoid them, you have to give them room. And so don't make the maneuver that to avoid the starboard boat at the very last second. Try to anticipate whether or not you're going to be on a collision course with any boat. Now you have to determine whether you're on port tack or starboard tack. And remember, the golden rule is don't hit any boats.
What's your head? What's your head? What's your head?
Now the second rule, if you're on the same tack, whether both boats be on starboard or both boats be on port, then if you are overlapped, meaning side by side, then you have a windward situation and a leeward situation. The boat who's closest to the wind and getting the wind first is the windward boat. The leeward boat is getting the wind after the windward boat if the wind's coming this way. So in the rules, the leeward boat has rights over the windward boat for most of the time. So when you're a windward boat getting the wind first, you must avoid going into a collision course with the leeward boat. So an easy way to remember this, if you're going in the same direction as another boat next to you, just stay away from the boat where your sail lies on. Because where your sail lies on, that is the leeward side.
Sunfish Masters Championship. Slow.
Now these two concepts of port versus starboard and windward and leeward are going to cover 80% of the rules that you're going to encounter in your beginning races. So don't worry about the little exceptions. As you get better and more experienced, you will get faster and you'll get around the course more efficiently, and that's when you're going to get the exceptions. So in the meantime, don't sweat it. Learn these 4 concepts that I'm teaching you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And let's get to the third concept, which is clear ahead when you're on the same tack. If your sails are on the same side, they're either going to be side by side next to each other, but if they're not, one's going to be ahead and one's going to be behind. If the sails are both on the left side, you're on starboard tack, and if the sails are both on the right side, you're on port tack. But if one's ahead of the other, and just say the boat following is catching up, the one who is passing the other boat has to stay away from the one that's getting passed. Look at it another way. If you're driving on a highway and you're going faster than the car ahead of you, you can't just ram them in the back without being wrong. It's the same thing with a sailboat. Now, as promised, I'm going to give you a trick that even seasoned sailors do not get right. I mentioned earlier that this concept, you have to be on the same tack. So both sails have to be on the same side, either starboard, starboard, or port and port. However, if you are a port boat and you're in front and the boat in back of you is on starboard, so now his sail is on the left side of his boat, your sail is on the right side of your boat, and he's catching up to you, you have to avoid the boat in back of you when he's on starboard and you're on port. It's because it's not clear head, clear stern anymore. It is a port starboard situation. And that's the first concept, the first rule we talked about is port versus starboard. Port has to keep away from starboard. And now the fourth rule is when you're tacking or when you're jibing, just stay clear of other boats. Don't get in their way. Don't tack in front of them if they have to maneuver to avoid you. So if you have to do a tack or a jibe, just make sure you have room to do it without interfering other boats.
Annika, go up shot. Okay, we got a new rule we're talking about.
So then again, remember the golden rule, do not hit other boats. And this includes when you're doing a maneuver like tacking, you are slowing down. And if the boat in back to you starts to catch up and needs to maneuver, that is your fault. So take your time, pick your spots where you want to tack, make sure you're clear, and no one's gonna hit you. It's almost like turning into an intersection when you're driving. You could do it, but make sure no one's gonna hit you. These are 4 basic concepts that can get every person who is thinking about racing to go out there and stay out of trouble. It gives you some structure, but the most important thing is go out there and have fun. So if you like this video, check out this video right here and it'll show you how to make your boat as fast as possible.